Jason, wake up.
What? What? I was watching Batman and I fell asleep.
And that's our review.
Dun
Um,
dun.
yeah, so we just watched episodes 3 and 4
Mm-hmm.
of Batman Caped Crusader on Amazon Prime, the new Batman
Mm-hmm.
animated series. And
Mm-hmm.
it was episode 3, Kiss of the Catwoman, and episode 4, The Night of the Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kiss of the Catwoman is the introduction of this show's version of Catwoman, and also it has random flashbacks to the night that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed sprinkled in
For some reason.
for some reason. And then Night of the Hunters is about the efforts of the Gotham Police Department to catch Batman. So,
Here's my thing.
yeah.
Remember when Harleen Quinzel was an interesting character?
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, we meet in these episodes. We see the this version of presumably she's going to be Harley Quinn at some point, but Dr. Harleen Quinzel. She is the okay. So in episode 3, again, for some reason, Bruce Wayne's mother's pearls, the ones that she was wearing on the
It's
night
on
that she was
display.
murdered,
They're on the murder display at a museum,
yeah,
Gotham Museum.
they're on display in the museum, and Bruce is there because it's like some kind of banquet or whatever. And there's 2 reporters standing there with Bruce Wayne clearly like 3 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're standing there just talking shit about his mom. Like, what
They're
did
not
she
even talking
expect?
shit. They're saying something absolutely reasonable.
Well, they,
What
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
woman wears 40,000 pearls from a movie and walks straight down Crime Alley?
Crime Alley. Yeah, but like the guy is the surviving son, who, by the way, is a billionaire and built like a linebacker, is right there. So of course,
Sure.
so Bruce punches the guy out in front of a room full of witnesses,
Sure.
and he has to go and do court ordered therapy, basically, with Dr. Harleen Quinzel. It just so happens that the psychiatrist, and I've noticed this, and this is something that's really starting to pop up in this version, in this show, and we really noticed it in these episodes. Everybody is somebody. Like, it's not just that Bruce, he's court ordered to
hmm
do, to see a psychiatrist. Guess who a psychiatrist is?
It's Harleen Quinzel. We
You
all know
know?
her as Harley
Yeah.
Quinn. Is she
There's a
Harley Quinn
lot of
yet?
that.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Are they going to fuck up her origin story? Probably. I don't know. But it's like, okay, so she's drawn Asian, fine.
Maybe
But
it's not really
her
clear, but yeah.
her last name is Quinzel?
I'm not even
Harleen
sure what,
Quinzel.
yeah. I'm not even sure what nationality Quinzel is as a last, is it?
Anyway, we meet
Yeah.
Catwoman and she's got money
Yeah.
problems because her dad's in jail. And so she
Yeah.
starts stealing first from out of nowhere. She says, "Yeah, we have a sewing machine," and she just makes her costume, which is high heels, a long skirt, and a cape, because that's just going to help her.
Yeah.
That'll
Now,
help
to
her.
to be to be fair, it looks a lot like Catwoman's costume in the 40s. I mean, it's a
Sure.
pretty accurate interpretation of that. But and on my favorite part, she has a housekeeper named Greta, whose character design looks like she came from a completely different show.
hmm hmm
Like, it's like she's a character from some completely different, like, different character design, different style. It's like they took, I think I said Tiny Toon Adventures, but it's something, it's like they imported a character from a completely different show. And she's
Sure.
just standing there with her big head and her tiny little body. And yes, Miss Kyle.
The real problem I have with this is that we've seen all of this. We've seen this
Yeah,
before.
it's starting to feel really reheated,
And the only
you
thing that
know?
they can come
Yeah.
up with is new is let's gender swap or race swap some characters. And that's about it. And they're not coming up with here's an idea. Batman has been around for a very long time. Why are we still seeing the same characters over and over again? Why?
Well, and
Make up
and
either make up new people or bring us somebody that we've never. You know what I'd love to see? I would love to see them have Condiment King and actually have him be a psychopath that's dangerous. Like legit a psychopath that's dangerous.
I had a thought while we were watching episode 4, the second episode
hmm
we just watched, because there's a bit in that episode that if they were actually trying to make it funny,
Mm-hmm.
it might have they could have made it pretty funny. It's the
Sure.
sequence where the cops have decided that they want to catch Batman. And so they come up with this great plan of having undercover cops go out into the streets, and basically one of them will pretend to be a crook and one of them will pretend to be someone who's being victimized, and Batman will come to the rescue, and then both cops will pull their guns and badges and arrest Batman. Except they're so comically bad at it. It's so incredibly obvious,
Mm-hmm.
not just to Batman, but to us, what is happening. That it's like, how do these dum-dums think they're going to catch Batman? Even this Batman, who so far has not proven to be all that bright himself.
Nope.
But so it's like, you're watching dumb people trying to catch another dumb person, and
Yep.
and they're too dumb to do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they were trying to make this funny, this might actually be funny. If they were going for comedy here, this might actually work, but they're not going for comedy. We're supposed to
No,
take this seriously. We're
they're
supposed
trying
to
to
be
make
seriously invested in this.
yeah, and it's kind of hard not to be invested in it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of hard to
it's
be invested in
to
it
be.
because number one, we're not spending that much time with Batman, and what time we spend with Batman is him abusing Alfred, just being an absolute jerk,
Yeah.
and we have the completely superfluous. Okay, we're back to the episode 3.
Yeah.
Back, where we learn, oh, his parents were shot, and that his butler raised him, or this is when he turned into a psychotic because an 8-year-old opens his butler's door and says, "I want to punish them all, Alfred." Well, nighty night, then closes the door, and you're
It
like,
is,
okay,
yeah.
so he's a psychopath from the very beginning. As soon as this happens, and we're just kind of like left with this kind of two stories: one, Batman's origin, or three, Batman's origin, Snore, seen it.
Yeah.
Batman in therapy. Why? Who? Okay, let me ask you a question. He hit a guy. He punched a guy.
He
Okay,
punched a guy.
and for that, he's getting counseling,
Yeah.
not 2 days in jail and a fine. He's getting psychological counseling because he punched somebody. I'm like, Jesus, if this is what it's like in Gotham City, how do they have any problems at all?
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
shoplifting. So you're going to get 3 weeks of counseling. You're going to talk about why you need to shoplift. Oh, okay, thanks. Unless this is his way of getting out of paying a fine that he could obviously pay. How about this? The reporter sues him. How about that? Because he can sue him. He should sue him. He should sue Bruce Wayne. The
Yeah.
richest man in Gotham City walked up to you, punched you in the face. Yes, okay. So he said something kind of on the nose about his mom. And
Yeah.
he didn't say that cunt, you sucked every dick in town. And
Well,
then
I mean,
I wish she was
the
bending over when she got shot by her. It's like, no, this is what he said. He said, that was pretty stupid, walking
yeah.
down a crime alley in the worst neighborhood in Gotham City. Also, by the way, since they bring it up, well, they cut to Alfred in the flashback where he's polishing the car on the street. Why in the fuck is he parked? Here's I just got to understand this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bruce Wayne, his wife, and his son are dropped off to go to the movies, and Bruce's dad goes, "Okay, Alfred, could you do me a favor? Park 3 blocks away, down at the end of crime. Could you park at the end of Crime Alley, and we'll just walk through Crime Alley to get there, rather than what rich people do is we're going to come out of the movie theater and you're going to be parked in front to pick us up
You're going to be parked in front. Exactly. Like,
because
I
that's how
always
you.
sort of assumed, I mean, in other versions of the story, because we've seen the Batman origin story told a million different times,
Mm-hmm.
usually Alfred's not even there.
Nope.
Like, the idea is they went out on their own as like a family thing, like a mom and dad and kid kind of thing. And Alfred isn't on the scene at all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Alfred shows up later, like the cops call Alfred, you have to come
Mm-hmm.
get Bruce. So having Alfred there, but like a block away, just kind of cleaning the windows on the fucking car
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of a slum, waiting for his waiting for his employers to come and show up. Probably more than likely at their. He told them what park that far. That makes no sense. This is what
Yeah,
I'm talking about. They're doing
yeah,
stylistic things, but they're not. They're not. It's not right, reasonable, or rational.
and
Rationable.
and it doesn't accomplish anything like
No.
in terms of the story. Like the whole bit with Bruce having to go to the therapist,
Mm-hmm.
those scenes don't amount to anything. Like
Mm-mm.
it's just Dr. Quinzel making these really obvious observations about Bruce, like that we know are true because we know he's Batman and we know that he hasn't gotten over his parents' death. So when he's sitting
Mm-hmm.
there telling her, "No, I'm completely fine. Maybe I just like to go out and live it up, and I'm just a millionaire bachelor who likes to play the field." Like we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is, well, she can tell that it's not true too, but that doesn't get us anywhere. It's just telling us shit we already know.
And in this episode, we got another weird name drop.
There are so many of those.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, well, you noticed the
And this one, it's Eel
photographer,
O'Brien. And I went, Eel?
yeah,
Did he say Eel O'Brien?
which
And I,
is
which is Plastic Man.
right.
And Plastic Man's origin is he was a crook. He fell into a vat of chemicals and became a good guy
Yeah,
after that. He became a crime fighter and a little crazy. In this one, he's a photographer
for the
the
Gazette, for the Gotham
newspaper or the
Gazette, yeah.
Gotham Gazette.
And well, then and also one of the detectives, it's and one of those oh by the way things, like with the psychiatrist being Harley Quinn,
Mm-hmm.
the photographer being Plastic Man. One of the detectives is Jim Corrigan, who is the Spectre.
Yeah.
Um,
Who has
Harley,
red hair like
Harley,
the Spectre.
Yeah, Dr. Quinzel at one point mentions, oh, by the way, her professor in
My
college was Dr.
professor,
Crane.
Dr. Crane,
So it's
said,
like
I'm going to
everybody
become a
is
scarecrow man and hurt people.
everybody is somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and it just it's and like
Everyone knows everybody.
yeah, and it's like we're 4 episodes into this, and they've already there's just way too much
In
world building going on. Like
in
pick
in episode 4, it turns out that Harleen Quinzel knows who? She
well,
knows
she knows Montoya and Barbara.
and Barbara because they're
Yeah,
girls.
because they're girlfriends. They hang out together.
And
So
because
yeah, so
Gotham's
yeah,
populated by about 15 to 20 people.
there's a lot of what a small world. There's a lot of, everybody knows everybody, everybody's somebody. I mean, not I'm not saying that this show needs to be or should be like Batman the animated series. In fact, in some ways it's a little too much like Batman animated series, like
In
kind of
some
like
ways.
what you were saying about how it feels like they're just kind of doing things they've already done.
Yeah.
They're showing us scene like there was a lot in that first chase scene between Batman and Catwoman in this episode. It very reminiscent of the first Catwoman episode in Batman the Animated Series. Not
Mm-hmm.
exactly, not like a beat for beat recreation, but a lot of like they were doing a lot like chasing each other over the rooftops, and Catwoman falls and Batman has to catch her. Like a lot of the same beats from
Mm-hmm.
Batman the Animated Series. So it's a in some ways it's a little too similar, but one of the ways that it's different that I feel like is to its detriment rather than its benefit is Batman the Animated Series was very stripped down and focused on Batman.
It was lean and it was
It was
focused on
yeah,
Batman. Yeah.
they weren't pulling in like, little gotcha
Here's
references
some
from other stuff.
here's something that I never associate with Batman the original animated series. Wordiness. Fuck.
That's true.
There are some episodes where I don't even know if anyone talked. Period. Maybe a
Yeah.
few words, and because it was light on dialogue and more about action. When people did say something, it meant something, right? In this one, they're gabbing constantly. People are constantly talking to each other. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to watch a cartoon. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes dialogue is necessary, and I understand that. But this one is very gabby. And it's like, okay, well, we took out all of the action and Batman being a detective and Batman in general and filled it in with dialogue with side characters.
Yeah. Well, and it's not the problem for me is that it's not even good dialogue.
No.
I mean, like a Coen Brothers movie can be really gabby too, but it's good
Yeah.
dialogue. Like a
Yeah.
Tarantino movie. My God, a Tarantino movie, everybody's going to be talking incessantly through
Hmm.
the whole thing, but it's going to be good dialogue.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. With this, it's like, yeah, the characters talk a lot. Okay, but what are they saying? Are they saying anything interesting?
Is
Are there
anything
any
new being brought to this? Are we
Yeah.
seeing anything new with this other than we've swapped genders, we've swapped races, we've changed some things around, and it's like, okay, great, anybody can do that. Anyone can mix the colors of Batman and get and put them in different stuff. But what are you saying to me that is new? What are you saying to me that is different? What is
Yeah.
being told to me that makes me want to care? And one of the reasons is I'm legit falling asleep during these because they're not interesting. They're not engaging me. I'm not super involved in the story. I could care less about another Catwoman story. I really could. I
I
could
think
care less.
there's a lot of, and I this came into my head after you said something when we were watching the second one, episode 4. They cut
Hmm.
to Commissioner Gordon in his office, and you said, "Oh, let's check in with the least interesting Commissioner Gordon
Oh
ever,"
my
or something
god,
like
the
that.
worst Commissioner Gordon so far.
Yeah. And it's like it's almost like the creators of the show assume that you're just gonna automatically be interested in him because it's Commissioner Gordon.
Hmm. I
And
mean, he
no,
did
you
save
can't.
those kids in the episode
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, and and that's there's episode 4 had a couple of things where it felt like they were maybe potentially doing something interesting. Like
Hmm.
they had Bullock and Flass murder Firebug to cover up the fact that they used him in this just ridiculous like cockamamie plot to draw
Hmm.
Batman out. That makes no sense on any level and is just terrible,
Mm.
terrible writing. But like the idea of, oh, they're going to take him out so he can't, tell anybody that they put him up to it. Okay, I mean, it's not like great writing, but it's kind of
Nope.
interesting. It's like they're
Sure.
crossing a line to cover their asses. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Batman and Gordon saving kids from the burning building together. So like maybe that's how these two characters kind of bond in this version, because there's always like some reason why Batman and Commissioner Gordon end up on the same side. And maybe in this version, that's sort of like their coming together moment, even though, again, makes no sense at all. Like it's not well done, but the idea of it is, oh, maybe this
Hmm.
is what makes them feel like they're on the same side.
Oh, and speaking
And
of
yeah,
speaking of, so in the second one, when Firebug sets fire to the building, we have the cops show up, and more cops show up, and they're all outside, and people are getting out, and there's fire shooting out of the windows, and both you and I were waiting for firemen. We're like, where are the firemen?
yeah,
This building has been on fire for a long time, and nobody has called for the firemen, but there are cops everywhere. Now, granted, they were
yeah,
trying to do a sting, and he said, "Bring on everyone with a badge, come down here." And even then, it wasn't that many people. Not very many cops showed up. It was like a few
yeah,
cars showed up, and then the that building caught on fire, and then someone shot, and then what's his Bullock shot Firebug,
yeah,
and so again, we had a villain that was not then didn't have a single. I mean, he briefly had a confrontation with Batman,
yeah.
but ultimately he ran out of fire juice and got shot.
And was just standing there
Uh-huh.
and got
Yeah.
shot.
So what did
Yeah.
Batman do this episode? He saved some kids.
He saved some kids, which was good. It's nice to see Batman saving people, but yeah, it's like he doesn't really have any agency in the story.
Mm.
And then, and you mentioned, I think this was the end of this of episode 3, but um we had like another episode end with Batman in the Batcave just staring at that map.
Staring at that map
That's
again.
like their favorite ending so far. Is like
Mm-hmm.
whenever we end an episode on Batman, he's staring at
Being
that map, drinking a
being
cup of
an
coffee, going,
being an
hmm.
asshole to Alfred, just staring
I
at that map.
just in terms of a like a production design thing, like I do kind of like the stripped down basic low tech Batcave.
Sure.
I'm glad that it's that instead of yet another like fucking Star Trek set where he's got like a giant
Mm-hmm.
computer and a plane and a car and multiple levels of cave. And like I kind of like that it's just like, well, yeah, it's a cave and he's got a desk and some books and his cool lucite map, and that's basically it. Like I think
Hmm.
that's neat, but it's just nothing interesting has happened there so
Yeah.
far,
I
which is
think
a
we
problem.
can we can say that we're both our skirts are very much unblown up
Yeah.
for these last two
And
episodes. In fact,
and we're and I saw on our last reviews because we were kind of lukewarm on the first two episodes,
yeah.
and I saw people were commenting saying, "Oh, just give it time, just it gets better." And like, I mean, we're gonna watch the whole thing, but the problem is it's 10 episodes,
Hmm.
and we're 4 episodes in, and we're still kind of waiting for it to get going.
Yeah, is this all set
That's
up?
a
If it's all
problem.
set up, okay, maybe it pays off later, but you also
But
the
yeah,
trick to setup is you can't just have a bunch of episodes that don't go anywhere, that don't engage your audience, but is
yes,
all set up. If
exactly.
it's in a 2 hour movie, that first part, the rising action part of the thing is usually like the first half until you get to you know, the major incident. And
And it needs to be interesting. It can't
yeah,
just be boring setup until something interesting happens. That's not good
hmm
storytelling. Like you want people to be interested in what happens next, not
yeah,
sitting there patiently waiting for it to get good. That's not how this is
hmm
supposed to work.
especially when their basic story. I mean, the Catwoman story is nothing that I haven't seen before. There's
Yeah,
nothing new that goes, oh, that's an interesting take on Catwoman. It's the same Catwoman character.
yeah.
And then when they interjected with the story about Bruce Wayne that we've seen at this point 5,000 fucking times. I don't need another Batman origin story. I don't
No.
need to see his parents get shot. I don't need to know about his mommy's pearls or any of that other bullshit. I don't need any of it. We get it. In fact, in this example of spooky kid in hallway talking to his butler makes him seem completely psychotic.
It does, and it makes Alfred look bad too, because if Alfred is woken up in the middle of the night by this clearly deeply troubled child who is super fucked up by the death of his parents, and he's giving that fucking psycho stare and going, I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to make them all pay. And then Alfred's just like, oh man, poor
Yeah.
kid. And then just
And
goes back to sleep.
Alfred doesn't
Yeah.
say, who's them? Who is them? Last
Or
time I
he doesn't,
checked, one person shot your parents.
or he doesn't wake up the next morning and like call a doctor or, or get this kid into some
Here's
kind of treatment.
I mean, here's a way you can do it. His his parents get shot. He starts showing up at the police station, asking them if they found anybody. They let him know that there's way too much crime. There's no way that they're gonna. Someone basically says there's no way they're gonna find the man who shot his parents. He becomes frustrated with the system. The system drives him to becoming Batman.
Yeah.
Not suddenly going from I'm going to kill one guy to I'm going to get all of them, Alfred. All of them will pay for the one thing this one guy did. I'm going to make
Exactly.
them all pay, Alfred. And Alfred just goes, "Okay." And that's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't
I
question it.
mean,
He just stares at him and he goes, "Well, good night," and he closes the door.
I mean, I think we talked about this last time, but I mean, it's one of the, or maybe we talked about this in a private conversation about a better version of Batman, but
Hmm
like, it's one of the sort of like, it's one of the problems with the basic concept of Batman, which is why is Alfred allowing this to happen? Like, Alfred is supposedly the level-headed one, the normal one,
I liked what
you
Gotham
know.
did, believe it or not.
Uh,
The
yeah,
TV sh- the
the
TV
TV
series.
series. By,
They
great
they
Alfred,
laid
by
it
the way.
they laid it all on Alfred's feet. They said Alfred did this to him.
Yes.
Alfred is the one that taught him how to do all this stuff. Alfred encouraged it, which is the
Yeah.
only explanation you could possibly have
Yeah.
for the whole. You don't have a mild mannered butler going, "Oh, what are we doing today? Oh, we're learning how to punch someone in the face repeatedly in different." Oh well,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just encourage this. You want to go to school? No school. All right. Well, thank you, Master Bruce.
Yeah, it's just it really doing it the way they're doing it so far. Like I think they want us to feel bad for Alfred because Bruce in this version is so cold to Alfred.
Hmm Yeah.
But it's not working for me because I'm just thinking, well, sorry, Alfred, but like where have you been for the last
Quit.
20 years while
Yeah,
he's been
quit, Alfred. Just quit.
Yeah, it's just there's it I feel like my
See,
general yeah, good.
I think the problem they had is that they saw the Batman,
Yes,
in
clearly.
which
Well, and Matt Reeves is a producer on this, so
Alfred is a
yeah.
combo of a couple of different Alfreds. It's obvious Alfred is working with him to be the
Yeah.
Batman. It's kind of Alfred's fault that he is the Batman, and that Alfred may have some regrets about him being the Batman. Because he's saying things like,
Yes.
make an appearance, do this. And it's a good combination, it's a good balance for that Alfred, because he seems like a person, and and despite the fact that he literally tells Alfred, you're not my father," he's kind of a jerk to him.
Yeah,
We do get it demonstrated later on that Batman truly and deeply cares about him, despite
yeah,
the fact that Alfred lied to him about his parents. And that's another. See, this is what I'm talking about. Bring something interesting. In the Batman, we know about his mom and dad getting shot, blah blah blah. But that was the first time that anyone said, maybe they're not the nicest people in the whole
yeah,
world. Maybe they're not perfect.
yeah,
And Batman has to square that. Oh, it turns out your mom's cuckoo and was in an insane asylum, and
yeah.
your dad was almost willing to have someone killed to cover it up.
Yeah, yeah,
That's new.
and was
Yeah.
close enough with, like, a major gangster that the gangster,
Hmm.
like, came to his house when he
Yeah.
got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's interesting. That's
yeah,
different. That's putting a different color on Batman, on Alfred, on the world that they inhabit. This one is just kind of like, well, we changed some stuff around. Hope you like it, and that's it. There's
yeah.
nothing. Oh, now we can finally draw guns. We can have people can have guns, and we can show Batman punch people in the face. I'm like, bleh. So I'm these two episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Again, like, I don't think it's awful, like, I'm not sitting there going, "This is complete garbage and I hate it," but
yeah, me either.
I keep wondering, like, why does this exist?
Hmm.
Like, there's no, and I know, like, because somebody wanted another Batman show to sell, like, I get, like, it exists for some commercial reason, but, like,
Hmm.
artistically, there's no reason for this show to exist.
Hmm.
It's completely redundant.
Yep.
Like, the good parts of it you can see in Batman the animated series from 30 years ago, and they're
Hmm.
better than they are here, and the rest of it just feels like just going through the motions and, switching things around for the sake of it and dropping in name drops of unrelated characters from other comic books
Hmm.
so that us comic nerds in the audience would go, "Ooh,"
But
you know,
instead, what is our reaction?
I'm annoyed by
Me
it.
too. It's
I'm
like, yeah,
like,
what?
how would this show be better because the Spectre is one of the detectives? Like, what does that add to the show?
What does it add to the show that it's Eel O'Brien as the
Yeah,
photographer?
like, is he gonna become Plastic Man in season 2? So then it's gonna be a show with Batman and also Plastic Man running
Ooh,
around?
the Batman Plastic Man show.
It just feels all over the place. It
Hmm.
feels all over the
That's because
place.
it is kind of all over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah, it's like,
So,
what are we yeah,
so
yeah.
once again, our review for the Batman is flatline. It doesn't go into the negative. It doesn't go into the positive.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's on.
yeah, exactly,
See, if this was
exactly.
on TV or we're still watching TV and this was coming on, I wouldn't rush home to watch this.
No.
Why would I? Why would I? What am I missing? Nothing. Hopefully, it'll build to something. I hope so. But so far, my skirt is has remained
Yeah.
unblown.
Same here. Same here.
Okay. Say goodbye, Steve. We got more of this to watch.
We're gonna watch two more of these babies. All right, that's it for these two, everybody.
Okay.
See you next
Yeah.
time.